I took my niece from my junkie sister, and now everyone says I kidnapped her. So okay, I didn't exactly plan on becoming a guardian at 19. I didn't plan on any of this. I'm a full-time college student. I work 20 hours a week in the campus library, and I barely have enough money to keep myself afloat. Most days, I run on caffeine, vending machine granola bars, and a dwindling sense of hope that I'll eventually make it through school without totally falling apart. My name's Casey. I go to a state school in upstate New York, studying psychology. I picked that major mostly because I wanted to understand how people like my sister become who they are. Danielle, my big sister. She's 28, and she's been a heroin addict since I was about 12. At first it was pills. She got into a car accident, and they gave her oxy, and after that it was just one long, slow slide into a nightmare. Growing up, she was like a second mom to me. Our parents weren't really around. Mom died when I was 9, and Dad split when Danielle turned 18. She stuck around for a bit, took care of me, cooked for me, made sure I got to school, but once the drugs got her, it was like she stopped being a person I could recognize. Sometimes she'd disappear for weeks. Sometimes she'd come back and act like everything was fine, like she hadn't just ghosted for 20 days straight. Then she got pregnant. Lily was a complete accident. Danielle was already deep into her addiction by the time she found out, but somehow she managed to stay sober for most of the pregnancy. I don't know how. It was like for 9 months she was holding her breath, trying to do the right thing. I was 15 when Lily was born, and for a while, I thought maybe things would get better. That Danielle would pull herself together. That Lily would fix her. But that's not what happened. Danielle relapsed before Lily was even 2 months old. She was in and out of rehab, jail, detox centers. Lily got passed around between friends of friends, some guy Danielle was dating, and a couple of distant relatives. I tried to keep tabs, but I was still a kid myself. Then I went off to college, and I guess I thought, stupidly, that someone would step in if things got really bad. Turns out, someone was me. 3 weeks ago, I got a call from a social worker. It was around 6:45 p.m., right as I was about to head to my shift at the library. She told me that Lily had been found alone in an apartment in Syracuse, locked inside for what they estimated was at least 24 hours. She was dehydrated, scared, and surrounded by trash and needles. A neighbor called the cops after hearing her crying through the walls. Danielle was gone. Again. The social worker asked if I had any way of contacting her. I didn't. I hadn't spoken to Danielle in almost 5 months. I texted, called, even messaged her on Facebook. Nothing. Total radio silence. She said they were trying to avoid putting Lily into foster care and asked if I was able to come pick her up. They'd already run a background check on me, somehow. I guess Danielle had listed me as an emergency contact once. And without thinking, I said yes. I took a 2-hour bus ride, showed my student ID at the door, and signed some temporary papers I barely understood. And just like that, I was responsible for a 5-year-old. No training, no supplies, no money, no plan. Just Lily, wearing a stained hoodie 2 sizes too small and holding a broken Barbie. I didn't tell anyone. Not my roommates, not my professors, not even my boyfriend Adam. I was in shock. I told myself this was just temporary, just a night or two, until the state figured something out. I brought her back with me, snuck her into my dorm wrapped in my hoodie like she was a bundle of laundry. She fell asleep on my bed clutching my phone because she liked the flashlight feature. Said it kept the monsters away. She hasn't gone back since. I managed to keep her hidden by turning my dorm into a mini fortress. I taped blackout curtains over the window so the RA couldn't see in. I borrowed snacks from my roommate's cabinets and taught Lily how to use the communal shower during the day when no one else was around. I convinced my friend Jamie to let me keep a duffel bag of her things in his apartment in case anyone came by and asked questions. Lily doesn't ask for her mom anymore. Not really. She asks where she is, sometimes. And I just say, she's getting better, which feels like the cruelest lie I've ever told. The truth is, I have no idea where Danielle is. She could be dead. She could be high in some stranger's apartment. She could be halfway to Florida with some guy she met at a gas station. I've seen her disappear before, but this time feels different. This time feels worse. I tried calling a couple of old numbers I had saved in my phone. Her last boyfriend. Some chick she used to hang with. No one answered. Or if they did, they hung up when they heard my voice. Meanwhile, I'm drowning. I've missed 4 classes, 2 quizzes, and I haven't opened my chem textbook in over a week. My academic advisor sent me a very formal email with concerning attendance in the subject line. I'm this close to losing my work-study job because I had to bail twice when Lily had a fever and started screaming uncontrollably in the middle of the night. My boyfriend knows something's up, but I've been vague. I told him I was helping a friend in trouble, and he gave me that half-sympathetic, half-annoyed look like he thinks I'm being dramatic again. He hasn't met Lily. I haven't let him. I'm scared of what happens if I open this whole situation up to anyone. But the worst part, the part one can't shake, is that deep down, I'm starting to want to keep her. I know how insane that sounds. I'm 19. I live in a shoebox, and I survive on ramen and expired cereal. I can't afford to buy myself new shoes, let alone raise a kid. But Lily she's a person. A real, small, scared person who looks at me like I'm the only one keeping her from falling apart. And I can't shake the feeling that if I hand her over to the system, she won't come back out the same. If she even comes out at all. So now I'm hiding a child in my dorm, lying to every authority figure in my life, and wondering at what point I officially become a criminal. Because technically, no one told me I had custody. There was no court order. Just a paper with my signature and a social worker's shrug. And no one else knows. It turns out hiding a child in a college dorm is a lot harder than I thought. It's not just the obvious stuff, like sneaking her past the RA or explaining why there's a tiny pair of sneakers by the door. It's the little things, like how kids don't have volume control, or how Lily talks in her sleep, or how every single meal has to be turned into a game, or she won't eat. I didn't know any of this 3 weeks ago. Now it's my whole life. I set up a kind of routine, if you can even call it that. I wake up at 6:30, before my roommates, and give Lily a quick breakfast, usually cereal or toast, whatever I can smuggle from the dining hall. Then I set her up with my iPad, a gift from my aunt a year ago, never thought I'd be using it as a babysitter, and leave her alone while I sprint to class and back. I keep it under an hour. I tell her to stay quiet, not to open the door, not to answer if someone knocks. I leave the TV on low, so she won't feel alone. She's 5 years old. She shouldn't be left alone, not even for an hour. But what else am I supposed to do? Some days, Jamie, or my friend Nicole watches her for a bit. They think she's my cousin's kid or something. I haven't exactly lied, but I haven't told the truth either. People don't ask a lot of questions when you seem tired and desperate. I think they're afraid of the answers. Meanwhile, the social worker keeps calling me, but it's all vague updates. They can't find Danielle. Her phone is off. She missed her probation check-in, and there's now a bench warrant out for her arrest. The last sighting of her was at a shelter 2 towns over, but by the time anyone got there, she was already gone. So what happens to Lily? I ask over and over. And every time it's the same. You're doing great, Casey. We're still working on options. Options? Like what? Foster care. Some emergency home where she sleeps in a stranger's bunk bed and eats cafeteria food? I'm not saying I'm the best option, but at least she knows me. At least she's not scared. But this whole situation is breaking me. My professors have started to notice. I look like hell. I've worn the same hoodie 4 days in a row. I forget things mid-sentence. One of them asked if I was okay, and I said, I'm just dealing with a family situation, which I guess is true. I didn't say I'm an illegal, unofficial guardian of a child I technically don't have custody of. That would have gone over real well. My boyfriend, Adam, finally confronted me. We were in the student union, and I was picking at some fries while texting Jamie to check in on Lily. You've been weird lately, he said. I'm just tired. It's not just that. You're always distracted. You never want to hang out. You've canceled on me 3 times in a row. I didn't know what to say. I wanted to tell him everything. I wanted someone to take some of this weight off me. But I couldn't risk it. If I told him, and he told someone else, and it got back to the school or the authorities, they'd take her. So I just said, there's something going on with my sister. It's complicated. He stared at me for a long time, then said, if you're not going to let me in, I don't know why we're even together. That hurt more than I expected. But I didn't argue. I just said I needed some space, and he walked away. We haven't talked since. The next day, Lily woke up crying. She had a nightmare. She said there were people banging on the walls, trying to take her away. I held her for an hour while she shook. She peed the bed. I didn't even get mad. I just changed the sheets and told her everything was going to be okay, even though I wasn't sure it was true. A week later, I got a text from an unknown number. Danielle, where the fuck is Lily? My whole body froze. I stared at the screen, rereading it a dozen times. No hi. No sorry. No thank you. Just that. Then, I know you have her. I'm coming to get her. I didn't respond. I didn't even breathe for a full minute. Then I called the social worker. She said not to panic, that Danielle probably didn't even know where I was, that she was likely high and lashing out. But I couldn't shake the fear. What if she came? What if she showed up at my dorm? What if she found Lily? That night, I moved Lily to Jamie's place. He wasn't thrilled, but he agreed. I told him the truth. Well, most of it. I said Danielle was using again and that I didn't trust her around Lily. He asked why I hadn't called the cops. I'm trying to keep her safe, I said. Calling the cops just makes it harder. The thing is, I get it. I know Danielle's still her mom. I know technically, legally, I have no right to keep Lily. But how do you hand a kid over to someone who disappears for weeks and leaves her alone with no food? How do you trust someone like that just because they gave birth? I haven't answered Danielle's texts. They keep coming. Angrier, more desperate. She called once, and I let it go to voicemail. I listened to it alone in the laundry room at 2 a.m. She was crying, rambling, saying I ruined her life, saying Lily needs her mom, saying I was a selfish little bitch who always wanted to take what was hers. I cried, too. I don't want to be her enemy. I just want Lily to be safe. But now I'm scared. Scared she'll show up. Scared she'll call the police. Scared she'll convince someone that I stole her kid. Because technically, maybe I did. The voicemail haunted me for days. I listened to it more times than I care to admit. Sometimes in the middle of the night, curled up in a ball, earphones in, volume low, like I was punishing myself. Like maybe if I listened enough times, I'd start to hear some version of Danielle I used to know. But all I heard was desperation, venom, and a kind of rage I didn't recognize. Or maybe I did. Maybe I just didn't want to. I didn't tell Lily. I kept things normal, or as normal as you can get when you're hiding a child in your best friend's apartment while pretending you're still just a stressed-out college kid. I'd come by every morning before class, bring her a muffin and milk, and then read her a chapter from whatever book we were slowly working through. Right now it was some silly princess one she liked. Her favorite part wasn't the princess, though. It was the dragon. She said dragons don't run away when things get scary. I almost cried when she said that. Jamie was getting restless. He didn't say it outright, but I could tell. He was doing me a huge favor, and I was slowly turning his one bedroom into a daycare. I cleaned. I cooked when I had time. I bought groceries with what little cash I had left. But the tension was there, and it was building. Meanwhile, my own life was disintegrating. I missed a midterm. I got an email from student services that I was now on academic probation. My financial aid might be in jeopardy. The dorm RA came by twice and asked if I'd been hosting guests without permission. I lied. Said it was just a friend crashing during a breakup. He didn't look convinced. Then the social worker called again. Different tone this time. We've located Danielle, she said. My heart dropped. She was picked up in Albany, arrested for shoplifting and possession. She's in county jail. Her arraignment is scheduled for next week. I didn't know what to feel. Relief. Fear. Both. And Lily? I asked. There was a pause. We need to figure out a long-term solution. Would you be willing to consider guardianship? Guardianship. The word hit me like a hammer. I don't know. I mean, I'm 19. I live in a dorm. I don't even have a car. You're the most stable adult figure in her life right now, she said gently. That matters. I said I'd think about it. But I didn't sleep that night. My brain wouldn't stop spinning. Guardianship meant court. Paperwork. It meant telling the university. It meant blowing up my whole life. It also meant Lily wouldn't have to go to strangers. 2 days later, I got another text from Danielle. She was allowed to use a tablet in jail or something. I don't know. All I know is the message said, "Don't you dare take my daughter. I swear to God I'll kill you." I showed it to the social worker. She didn't say much, just sighed and told me to save it. We may need that, she said. I started reading up on guardianship laws, on how many people get turned away because they're too young, too broke, too unqualified, on how sometimes, even after everything, the courts still give kids back to the parent who abandoned them. Because biology, I guess. But I was ready to try. Jamie came home one night to find me filling out forms at his kitchen table, Lily asleep on the couch beside me. "You're really doing this?" he asked. I nodded. "Case. I can't let her go into the system." He didn't argue. Just sat down, cracked a beer, and stared at the wall. "You know this is gonna ruin your life, right?" I didn't answer. I think we both knew that wasn't a question. I met with a volunteer attorney the school referred me to. She looked barely older than me and seemed overwhelmed by the case. But she promised to help me file for temporary guardianship. She warned me it might not stick. Danielle still had parental rights. If she contested, the court might decide I wasn't fit. "She's in jail," I said. "Yes, but that doesn't always matter." And then came the court date. It was surreal. Just me, the lawyer, Lily in a borrowed dress holding a stuffed bear, and Danielle in an orange jumpsuit, brought in with shackles. She looked at me like she wanted to rip my face off. She told the judge I kidnapped her daughter. That I was a manipulative brat who always wanted to play mom. That I was mentally unstable. She said I was lying about everything. Then the judge asked Lily who she wanted to stay with. She looked up at him with her big brown eyes, then turned to me and said, "Casey." That was it. One word. But it felt like a landslide. The judge didn't rule that day. Said he needed to review everything. But we left with a temporary order that Lily would stay with me until the next hearing. Danielle screamed the whole way out of the courtroom. The next week was a blur. I moved out of the dorm. Technically, I withdrew for personal reasons. I packed my stuff and moved in with Jamie for real, who said it was temporary but cleared out a drawer for Lily's clothes anyway. My professors emailed me notes, some of them kind, others just bureaucratic. My advisor said I could take a semester off and come back in January. But nothing felt real. Lily started drawing me pictures. One was of me, her and a dragon, all holding hands. I taped it to the wall over the air mattress I now sleep on. I check my phone every night, half expecting another threat from Danielle. So far, nothing. But I know this isn't over. Not by a long shot. Temporary guardianship sounds official on paper, but in real life, it feels like standing on a sheet of ice in sneakers. Thin, unstable, and one wrong step from disaster. I had the court order. I had Lily. I even had a small list of emergency numbers laminated and shoved in my wallet. But none of that changed the fact that I was a 19-year-old dropout living on an air mattress in my friend's apartment, pretending like this was something I could handle. Lily adjusted faster than I did. She started calling our new space home, asked if we could hang pictures on the wall. She talked more, smiled more, drew me a picture of a house with 2 stick figures and a dog. We don't have a dog. She named him Pancake anyway. Meanwhile, I was juggling phone calls with caseworkers, trying to get Lily enrolled in kindergarten again, figuring out which bills I could pay late without completely tanking my credit. Jamie was patient, bless him, but I knew he didn't sign up for this. His apartment was small, and his life wasn't meant to include a 5-year-old who watched cartoons at 6 a.m. and cried if I left for more than an hour. I applied for state aid, food stamps, emergency childcare. Everything took forever. Everything was tied up in forms and appointments and verification letters. Every time I thought I'd cleared one hurdle, 3 more appeared. No one knew what to do with someone like me, a legal adult who was still, by every other metric, a kid. Then Danielle called again, this time through a jail counselor. The call was supervised, which meant someone else was on the line. She was calmer, said she was going through detox, said she wanted to make amends. I listened. Part of me wanted to believe her. "I'm really trying, Case," she said. "I want to be better. For her." But even through the phone, I could hear the edge. The defensiveness. The quiet resentment. "I know you think you're saving her," she added, "but she's my daughter. Not yours." I didn't answer. Afterward, I got a call from the counselor who said Danielle had enrolled in a treatment program. She'd get early release if she completed 30 days of inpatient rehab. That meant, legally, the court could reconsider her fitness as a parent. And just like that, the ice under me started cracking. The next hearing was scheduled for 4 weeks later. 4 weeks to prove I was a better option than her biological mother. 4 weeks to convince a judge that a 19-year-old dropout was more fit to raise a child than the woman who gave birth to her. It felt impossible. My lawyer said we needed documentation, witnesses, letters, anything that showed Lily was thriving with me. I called my old professors. I asked Jamie to write something. I even had Lily's pediatrician sign a letter after her checkup. Healthy, stable environment. It felt surreal, like I was assembling proof of something that should have been obvious just by looking at her. But I knew how the system worked. Judges don't care about feelings. They care about paper. One night Adam, my ex-boyfriend, showed up out of nowhere. I hadn't seen him since we broke things off. "I heard what happened," he said. "From Jamie." I wasn't mad. Just tired. "What do you want?" He looked around. Saw Lily asleep on the couch with her arms wrapped around Pancake the stuffed dog. "You're really doing this?" "Yeah. I came to say I'm sorry," he said. "And I want to help. If you'll let me." It was weird, letting someone back in. But I said okay. I let him come by sometimes, play with Lily, pick up groceries. He never stayed long. I think he still didn't know what to do with all of this. Honestly, neither did I. Then Jamie dropped a bomb on me. "I think I'm going to move back with my folks," he said one night, avoiding my eyes. "What?" "It's not forever. Just, I can't afford rent right now. My job cut my hours, and honestly, it's been a lot." I knew what he meant. He wasn't blaming me. But still, it felt like another rug pulled out from under me. "So where am I supposed to go?" He hesitated. "You could maybe stay with Adam for a bit? Or, hell, I don't know, Casey. You're good at figuring things out. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. I thanked him, numbly, and told him I'd find something. I always did. I called Adam the next day. Told him the truth. He said I could crash at his place for a while. Said his roommate was cool with it. That Lily could sleep on the futon in the living room. I didn't have better options, so I said yes. The apartment was small, dark, and full of takeout containers. But Lily didn't seem to mind. She liked the window in the kitchen that looked out over the back alley. Said she could see the moon better from here. I cried the first night we stayed there. Not because I was sad. Just overwhelmed. Exhausted. Terrified of what was coming. 2 weeks out from the hearing, I got a call from my lawyer. Danielle's lawyer filed a motion, she said. They want full custody restored. But she's still in rehab. Doesn't matter. If she completes it, and the counselor signs off, they can argue she's rehabilitated. And the threats. The abandonment. She's claiming she was in crisis. That she didn't know what she was doing. I felt sick. Lily was sitting at the table, coloring. She looked up and said, "Can I draw you a dragon with wings?" I nodded, barely holding it together. I was losing this. I could feel it. Even with everything I'd done, everything I'd sacrificed, the law might still side with her. Because she's the mom, and I'm just the kid who stayed. The morning of the hearing, I woke up before the alarm. Lily was still asleep, curled into herself like a comma, hugging Pancake to her chest. The air in Adam's apartment smelled like old coffee and laundry detergent, and my stomach was in knots. I hadn't eaten the night before. Couldn't. My throat felt like it was lined with cotton. I dressed Lily in the nicest outfit we had, a pale yellow dress with little sunflowers on it. I brushed her hair, tied it back with a ribbon. She looked up at me in the mirror and said, "Do I look like someone the judge would like?" I smiled. My heart cracked right down the middle. The courthouse was cold and gray and full of people who all looked like they didn't want to be there. I held Lily's hand the whole time. My lawyer met us in the lobby. She was wearing a navy pantsuit and holding a folder thick with papers. She completed rehab, she told me. 31 days. Got the certificate. The counselor signed off. She's clean on paper. I nodded. I expected that. Still, it felt like getting punched in the gut. When Danielle walked into the courtroom, she didn't look like the last time I saw her. She had makeup on, clean hair, a white button-up shirt. She didn't look like a junkie. She looked like someone who had pulled her life together. At least enough to convince someone else. She looked at me once. Just once. Her eyes were dead calm. The judge went through the motions. Read the documents. Asked questions. Danielle spoke clearly. Said she'd made mistakes. Said she loved her daughter. Said she wanted a second chance. Then it was my turn. I don't even remember half of what I said. Something about stability. About what Lily had been through. About the fear in her eyes when she first came to me. About how I wasn't trying to take Danielle's place. I was just trying to give Lily a chance to breathe. The judge asked Lily if she wanted to say anything. She looked up at him and said, "I don't want to go anywhere. I want to stay with Casey." Danielle didn't cry. She didn't argue. She just looked down at her hands. The judge said he'd need time to deliberate. No decision that day. We walked out in silence. I took Lily to get ice cream, even though it was freezing outside. We sat on a bench, wind blowing hair into our mouths, and she licked her cone like it was the most important thing in the world. I tried not to cry. A week passed. No word. Then 2. Then I got a letter in the mail. I didn't even open it right away. Just stared at the envelope. My hands were shaking. It said the guardianship would remain temporary. Another hearing would be scheduled in 6 months to reassess. Danielle was granted supervised visitation, twice a month, at a center with a counselor present. I didn't know what to feel. Relief. Fear. Both. It wasn't over. But it also wasn't a loss. The first visitation was awkward. Danielle barely looked at me. She brought Lily a stuffed bear and some coloring books. Lily sat on the floor, coloring, answering questions like she was being interviewed. Danielle told her she missed her, that she was trying to get better. Afterward, Lily didn't say much. Just asked if we could have macaroni for dinner. I said yes. My day started to fall into a pattern. Wake up. Make breakfast. Call social services. Wait. Hope. Try not to think too far ahead. I applied for online classes to try and finish the semester remotely. I found a part-time job at a bakery. Adam offered to babysit sometimes. Things were manageable. Barely. And then one night, Lily asked me something I wasn't ready for. Will I ever have to live with Mommy again? I froze. I don't know, I said. She was quiet for a long time. Then she whispered, I don't want to go back. I didn't know what to say. I just hugged her. And later that night, When she was asleep, I stood in the bathroom and stared at my face in the mirror. I looked older. Not in a bad way. Just worn. Like I'd lived a decade in 5 months. I thought about Danielle. About how she'd once braided my hair for school. How she used to sing in the kitchen. How she used to be everything to me. I thought about the look in her eyes in court. Cold. Determined. But not angry. Not anymore. I don't think she hates me. I think she's afraid of losing. I think she's afraid that Lily loves me more now. I think she knows that she gave me the one thing she couldn't hold on to. I think she knows I won't give her back. But I also don't know what's right. I'm not a mom. I'm just a kid who didn't leave. And now I'm living a life I never asked for, making decisions that terrify me, and wondering if I've already done something unforgivable. Because here's the truth. I didn't just save Lily. I kept her. I made that decision for both of us. And I don't know if it was the right one. I don't know if I stole something that didn't belong to me. I don't know if, years from now, she'll hate me for it. All I know is that she sleeps through the night now. She brushes her teeth without being asked. She draws dragons that protect instead of destroy. And sometimes, when she's drifting off, she reaches for my hand. So yeah, maybe I crossed a line. Maybe I broke a rule. Maybe I am the asshole. But I'm also the only one who stayed.